Hey everybody. So, I've been contemplating about whether or not I should be making a video about this, and I guess against my better judgment, I decided to sit down and record. So, this video is actually about mental illness and mental health in general. So, as those closest to me may know, at the end of last year and at the beginning of this year, I was in a bit of a, shall we say, bad headspace. I wasn't exactly living life as I should have been. I was simply existing. My mindset was that this life was a meaningless existence. It was a vicious cycle that we had to go through on repeat. I woke up, I went to work, ate, and slept, and the cycle repeated itself. But that wasn't the only thing I was going through in my mind. You see, actually, due to the lack of direction and probably because of the chemical imbalances in my brain, shall we say, there were also some pretty messed up thoughts in my head. For example, I was talking about unaliving both myself and others, just because, myself mostly because I just saw no point, of simply existing, because life just did not seem meaningful. And with regards to the others, I was just looking at the people who I deemed at my workplace at the time, who I deemed to be as bullies, and who I saw as, as, to put it simply, pieces of shit. And I mean, they still are pieces of shit, but I don't think they warrant that kind of treatment, looking back. And looking back, that was all probably due to the chemical imbalance in my head. And I don't think I've ever said this out loud. I thank you, Ploy and Papa, for intervening when you did, and taking me to go see a psychologist, so I could air out my thoughts to him, and so that he could get a rundown of what was going on in my head. And eventually he prescribed me the necessary medication, and over time I got better. I would like to say I think I got better about 7 months ago, back in February. And yeah, I just didn't realize the power of mental health medication and the effect it would have on the ailments I had been dealing with before then. But the reason why I made this video, I guess during that time when I was in that bad headspace, I made some social media posts, which I guess could be both viewed as a call for attention and a call for help. And I guess one of my classmates from college reached out, and I guess they wanted to sit down and ask me what was going on, or so I thought at the time. Now, out of respect for them and for the sake of anonymity, that classmate shall not be named. But when we sat down to meet for dinner, instead of getting the supportive type of treatment that I thought I was going to get, I felt I got some kind of a verbal beatdown. They didn't exactly give me the type of verbal tongue lashing, if you will, but basically what they said to me was something along the lines of, mental health and depression, yeah, It's all in your head. And yeah, and it's like, it's so easily fixed. All you gotta do is set these goals for yourself. And yeah, just stop sulking, and this person, shall we say, is an enthusiast of exercise, and they just said, you know how I deal with my problems? I just go to the gym and I set goals for myself. And I set goals such as wanting to lift this much amount of weights on this particular day. And like, they set examples for me, like, they said, well, how about you try going to, I don't know, a Muay Thai class, or try step out of your comfort zone by going to a jiu-jitsu class. But here's the thing, that shit is easier said than done. And it's not as simple as that, okay? That's not the cure to depression or mental health. Yeah, maybe that's a good place to start, but it's not as easy as that, okay? It's not just you snap your fingers and all of a sudden it starts to, get easier. No, it's not like that. That's why they have therapists. That's why they have psychologists. And what also irks me is when I told that person that, I've already been prescribed medication, and then they just chirp up, yeah, personally, I don't believe in medication for depression. What do you know? Are you a doctor? Are you a psychologist? They have no idea how much, this medication has helped me through one of the least desirable time periods of my life. And yeah, until you've actually experienced it, I'd rather you not say anything bad about it, okay? But wow, that's not even the best part. When we were about to finish our dinner, they had the nerve to tell me, look, I hope this doesn't rub you off the wrong way, but I really think that mental health and depression is such a first world problem. Wow. So because it's a first world problem, it should just be overlooked? Should it just be disregarded? And then they just continue. Because think about it, man. Look at poor people. Then they proceed to go on about starving people in Africa. Think about the poor people. Think about people in Africa, starving people in Africa. You think they have time to worry about their little itty bitty problems? No, they're constantly having to worry about finding their next meal, putting the next meal on the table. Good for you. Good for you. What podcast did you listen to? What book did you read? Yeah, newsflash. Just because it's a first world problem doesn't make it any less of a problem. Because that's how when you meet one person and then the next day you end up not meeting them, because one day they might just end up not showing up, and you may not understand why, because maybe you realize that, hey, oh my God, I had no idea what was going on behind the scenes this entire time. Did you ever stop to think about that? And it pisses me off so much, because not because of what I had to go through, but because of what my close friends had to deal with later on this year. And I'm sure you know who you are when I refer to my close friends who dealt with mental health this year. I had friends who dealt with the same problems this year, and I was worried. When they won't pick up the phone, when they wouldn't answer my texts. Hell, me and my other friends, we were worried as hell. And of course, like, when it boiled down to something like mental health, something that's so lightly disregarded apparently, of course I was concerned. Of course I would be worried. I wanted to make sure that they hadn't done something stupid. So for that other person to say, oh, mental health, depression, it's such a first world problem, and oh, I don't agree with medication for depression. You know what? I'm going to say it again. Unless you've experienced it yourself, don't say anything about it at all, because you're no expert. You haven't dealt with it firsthand. Man, just really pisses me off. Like, so many people are struggling, they're fighting with something internally, and you know what? I'm willing to bet that a lot of people around them don't even know it. They just think, people put on these happy faces just because they think that the people around them most of the time won't even comprehend the inner battles they're going through, okay? If they had to sit down and explain, the people around them would still have a hard time comprehending what's going on. So, just to not be like that friend who told me that mental health is such a first world problem, I want to implore other people, if you notice that there are other people around you who seem to be struggling internally, take a deep breath and reach out to that person and ask them, hey, is everything okay? And if you have a hard time understanding them or comprehending what they're saying, that's okay. Just listen, okay? Maybe they just need to, vent out first, okay? But just listen. That is one of the most important things, okay? What they don't need is a lecture session, okay? Saying that mental health, it's all in your head. Mental health, it's a first world problem. Mental health, it can just be fixed by going to the gym. That's the last thing they fucking need. And yeah, man, it just pisses me off so much. So, yeah, just listen. That's the very least you can do. And if you do happen to know of somebody who could provide psychiatric help, you offer it to them. That's what you can do. You don't offer your opinions on what you think about mental health medication and what your thoughts are regarding mental health and depression. No, that doesn't help. That's counterintuitive. And yeah, God. And you know what? The reason I've gotten better is two reasons in particular. One, I've had a group of very supportive people, not including that person who said mental health is a first world problem and that they don't believe in mental health medication. No, I've had a very supportive crew, including my sister and my father and my friends. And two, the mental health medication prescribed to me by the psychiatrist. So, to you who said that you don't believe in mental health medication, I guess the joke's on you, buddy. So yeah, that's just what I want to say. And to people, dismissing, mental health, mental illness, depression. A wise friend once told me to let go of my anger towards you and to instead feel bad for you for being unable to feel. And yeah, I'm going to take their advice instead. And to all of those of you who are struggling internally, hold on, hang on there, okay? Because a wise man once taught me when he read an old fable that whatever situation we're caught in, whether it's good or bad, this too shall pass. Okay? Sorry, I got too emotional. But yeah. Hang in there, guys. And remember, if you think somebody is struggling, internally, don't hesitate to lend a hand and, sit them down and ask, hey, are you all right? What's going on? Because that could be the first step to saving a life. And yeah, that's about all I have to say. Good night, everybody.